I've been carrying the Zpacks Nero for almost a year now. I carried it through all 4 seasons. It definitely had plenty of volume for me to be able to carry a winter loadout, and almost has the compressibility for me to be able to comfortably carry my summer loadout. So I've coming into fall, Rev did a subjective pack review on the Nero in February to his opinion and what he liked and what he saw added value in the pack and why he enjoys carrying it. So I want to just go over some of the things that I like about it and then some of the things that I really like to change about it. I think Zpacks did a really nice job when they decided to just take some of the key things that people were asking for on the Zero and came out with the Nero. So it had all the options of this front pocket and the side pockets that people were asking for them to add onto the Zero, and just made a more universal pack, but without the ability to request custom things done to the pack. It really kind of limits it and lends itself to a pack to be modified by other people or the end user to fit their hiking style or what they would really like to have in a pack. So I definitely like the 2.92 material that they used on the body of the pack. I think that the front mesh pocket is very useful. It does have a bunch of space, so you can store tons of gear in there, and it's very breathable for drying things out. The side pockets work very well with smart water bottles. You can reach them while you're hiking, so I definitely like the side pockets. I love that it has all the attachment points and options to add and use things on the shoulder straps. So I've added a small zipper pouch here for carrying, snacks and chapstick, things like that. I carry hand sanitizer right up here on the top. One of my water bottles here, I've always carried a little strap with a mitten hook on it, and then I added some shock cord here so that I could carry a water bottle here instead of the side pouch. If I ever needed to go into a dry camp, I usually carry this 1.5 liter Evernew dirty bag, and I just can fill that up and I can slide it into the side pocket so I can carry additional water into a dry camp. I switched out to just the same version of the sit pad that comes with it and used the same shock cord and everything, and I just went to a green one. The blue kind of offset on the green didn't really look right to me even when it was flipped inside out, so I just ordered a green one. That keep my trekking pole typically in one of the side pouches, and I use the top closure to hold that trekking pole in place. I don't always use my trekking pole while I'm hiking, but I do need it to set my tarp up, so it is something that I will be carrying on every trip for the foreseeable future. And I definitely like how it rides in there. I'm not a big fan of the top closure system and how it compresses on the side. I've really struggled with how small my pack loadout is, even when I try to fluff it up and get it to be as big a volume as possible. I'm still not filling up the pack enough, and I end up with the top shoulder straps kind of pulling forward and creating this really tight piece of fabric across the back of my shoulders. And 10-15 miles in, that really starts to wear on you. So that's definitely something that I'd like to change on the pack, and that's going to be part of my modifications, is the top closure system. What Zpacks didn't do is put clips up here that were opposite each other, so they put 2 female clips up here so you can't attach them and change the top of the pack at all. So you get to roll it down to a certain point and attach it on the side, but then once you compress all the way to this one loop, then you're out of adjustability. So if your pack volume is too small for the pack, then you end up with that pull and kind of tight piece of fabric like I'm dealing with now. So I want to change the closure system on the top, and I think I want to do something different with the compression on the side. I do need to be able to lock this in here, but I don't know that I need a full lacing pattern on it. I may still keep the webbing on there at certain points for trips, but I don't know that I will be using the pockets anymore moving forward. So I've just kind of taken them off for all of spring and summer, and going into fall I really don't have an intention of putting them back on. System with the Velcro, always concerned about the how abrasive the hook side is on this hook and loop. It's not really just at its peak function anymore, so I want to look at possibly doing away with that and just going with a couple of snaps at the top. Let me show you a couple of the things that I'm using for the modifications that I made myself. All right, I've been doing a bit of research on how I want the top closure to be, and I really like Palante uses a G hook that comes over the top, and you can hook it into a loop that's on the back of the pack, kind of near the hull loop, and then from the front it's adjustable to tighten that down or loosen it up to the point where you could have some storage on the top of the pack if you needed to carry anything on top or on the outside of the pack. So I picked up some 1/8 inch thick carbon fiber for like knife scales is what it's made for, and I made this little G hook, and I went ahead and put 3 slots in it so that I could really be able to wrench down some 1/2 inch webbing that I got from Ripstop by the Roll. And then for the attachment points on the sternum strap, I went ahead and made a couple of these. I have one on the pack already, just kind of that I was testing out. So I made a couple of these to attach the sternum strap, and they're just small little attachments that'll take the place of the ones that are on there now. But I think that kind of puts like my own little personal touch on it. It's got something that I actually made that's on there, and so I really like kind of that idea of making the pack not only modified but customizing it to the point where it really kind of speaks to something that I can do. So I'm gonna cut to maybe doing a little work on the pack, and then I'll be back to show you exactly how everything came out. I thought it was going to take a lot longer, but I was able to make the changes to the pack that I wanted to in about 3 hours. So I figured might as well get out on trail and take her for a test drive. And yeah, here I am. So I did have the mail come by. I got a new Gossamer gear hat and a new bamboo spoon that I'm going to be trying out. So I've got a good place to stop up here. Let me get there and I'll show you what I've done to the pack. So the main idea behind this modification was to eliminate the top closure system and change it to something that I liked better on the Nero. And one of the things that eliminated was the clip that came down on the side here and attached to a piece of cordage that went through these loops. So I added a 3/8 inch piece of grosgrain here and on both sides on the top, and that allowed me to still have my attachment points to lock in a trekking pole on the side. And I'm not sure which way I'm going to go with it. I have a mitten hook on this side so that I could have quick access to whatever I had attached in here, like this trekking pole, and I would still have an ability to cinch it down. And then on the other side, I just did a loop on both sides so that I could have some adjustability and be able to loosen or tighten it as I needed to. With this design, I would have to put the trekking pole behind it and then slide it down. On the opposite side, I'm able to just hook and unhook this mitten hook from the webbing loop at the top and have access to my pole without having to slide it in and out behind the cordage. So that was one of the mods that I did today. Let me show you the main one on the closure system. As I mentioned earlier, one of the things I really wanted to change about the Nero was the cinch down sides with the clip, and I wanted to go to a strap over the top, which will allow me to attach things to the top of the pack, but it will also keep me from limiting myself to having a certain pack volume to be able to use the Nero comfortably. With this new strap over the top, it does pull from the center, keeping this top ridge that it creates away from the center of my shoulders and keeps that pressure off the back, which I think will help me to just ride more comfortably at smaller volumes in the pack and help me out through summer mainly. So I did add the G-hook here, and I attached that to a 1/2-inch piece of webbing. I did 3 bar tacks across the front, and I did tape them on the inside. I left the tail quite long. Now this is that Venom webbing, that pack webbing that ripstop by the roll cells, and I've read some reviews says that it frays quite a bit. So I did melt the end, but I went ahead and rolled over and hemmed the loose ends on the webbing wherever I could, and then I added this loop that comes up right between the haul loop, where I will be able to attach the G-hook and then cinch down from there. I did leave this quite long, not knowing if I would need to extend it to come over the top of something. That does give me the option to throw a rain jacket on top of here, or a bag of chips, you know, whatever whatever I wanted to carry on the outside of the pack, and then I can just attach it and cinch it down to whatever pack volume I have in the pack at that point in time, and tuck the tail away in the front pocket. The thing that I was wanting to do was eliminate the Velcro on the top of the pack that kind of closed it before you rolled it down. So I stitch ripped that and just cut all the stitches out of it to take the Velcro off. I didn't want to eliminate this top section of the pack, so I'm giving it a shot with just cutting the stitches out, and I don't think it's a really high stress area. It is where you load and unload the pack, but I don't really see where there's some stress put on it, or a lot of stress put on it when you close the pack up to roll it down. And in place of the Velcro, I added a couple of cam snaps, and I have to say I'm pretty impressed with the cam snaps. This is the first time I'm using them for really any project. I just picked them up, and a little cam snap tool. So I'm pretty pleased with how tight they clamp down, and it seems like they're going to be something that's going to give good long life and a lot of use for the closure system on the top here. And I just put 2 of them spaced out. I believe I did 3.5 inches or 3 inches on from the center of the pack to each cam snap, and that'll allow me to just kind of close it down and get that security of the pack being closed up before I start to roll it down. For the last part of the closure system change that I made on the Nero, I did add a side buckle with a couple of pieces of 3/8 inch grosgrain, just some loops here at the top so that I could attach the buckle, and I can either clip at the top, folding the sides in, and then roll the top down before I put the top strap on. I'm leaning more towards that route, but it does allow me the option to close it more like a food bag. So roll the top down and then just fold the clips over the top and clip. Then I can put the strap over that. Now this does, I think, offer a little bit more of a waterproof closure, but I am leaning more towards the fold and roll. I just like the look of it, not having these open areas here to hang up on low-hanging branches and things like that. But I think I'm gonna give both of them a try. As far as today, I'm trying the fold and roll method, and that's a lot like the Palante V2. John Z did a video about his preferred way of closing the top of that, so I'm gonna give that a go first and see how I like that. I do have a trip coming up here pretty soon, so I'm looking forward to actually getting this thing out on trail and getting some good miles on it, and seeing how these modifications work. So I'll probably end up doing a follow-up video on this one, and there's a couple of other things I may change on the pack as well. We'll see. So if you have any questions or comments, drop them in the box below. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.